Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I actually, on purpose, wanted to start my portion with this video. It's a bit outdated. It's our 2022 annual report recap. However, I wanted just to share with you the multiple amount of work we're doing about digitization and how our court is actually equipped for such a digital transformation. I'm Amna Al-Uwais. I'm the Chief Registrar of the Dubai International Financial Center Courts, and we are an English-speaking common law court, and we are a business-friendly court, and we are created to support the Dubai International Financial Center as a free zone. And in addition to that, we are open to the world, like any other court, when it comes to dispute resolution. So today, I'll try to keep my topic more towards the digital transformation and how we as a court are enabling our efficiency, our procedures through technological advancements. And I will explain to you our main pillars. So we operate as a court, and of course we have KPIs, we have strategic objectives and strategic work plans, and we normally plan our strategies based on 4 pillars: judicial excellence, service excellence, innovation, and connectivity. And I'll try to really give you a bit of some flavor in terms of how we do our business and how we operate as a court. So within the Dubai International Financial Center courts, we have an international bench of judges, and our judges come from different jurisdictions around the world, including, of course, Emirati judges. So within our court system, we have judges from Malaysia, from Australia, from the UK, and the reason why they come from these different countries is that they are all highly experienced judges from those common law jurisdictions. And of course, our chief justices are always coming from high and senior capacities. So our current chief justice is from Malaysia, and he used to be the chief justice of Malaysia as well. Currently, he's our chief justice. And I want to just explain that the reason why we are operating as a common law court, as many might not really understand. So I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. So there are 2 systems around the world when it comes to legal frameworks and judicial bodies. One is civil law and one is common law. And they're very similar in nature. However, the main difference when it comes to common law, judges always follow a certain precedent. When it comes to civil law, judges are not obliged to follow other judges' judgments. So they are, of course, they would research, they would cross-check with other judgments that are similar to their cases, but they're not obliged to follow that precedent. However, when it comes to our court, as a common law court, and there are many common law jurisdictions around the world, whether UK, Australia, Singapore, the US is, of course, a unique country. They have both civil and common law, but mainly common law. Canada as a trans-systemic system. So the idea with our court in the UAE, it's a civil law country. So all of the courts in the different emirates operate within civil law. However, the main reason why we operate on the common law is due to our business aspect. And since we are a court that actually encourages investment and foreign direct investment in Dubai and the UAE, it was quite important to have a court that operates within the common law system so that parties, businesses, lawyers, and even SMEs, individuals, and so forth, have a understanding of the outcome. So they have predictability of the outcome. So before going into fights and disputes, they actually realize what sort of judgment will be issued. And of course, part of our service offering, we are a court like any other court, but as I mentioned earlier, we try to make our service proposition quite unique and very friendly. So we have multiple types of courts. We have the small claims tribunal, which is the fast track, simple procedures. We don't have lawyers within the small claims. As we all know, lawyers can make things complicated. So we try to keep it as simple as possible within the small claims. And the small claims is a very smart system. It offers even e-service. So for example, when you're in a case, you can use multimedia or social media service. So the idea with our small claims tribunal is simple, easy, efficient, and it also operates within different technological aspects as well. And the Small Claims Tribunal has been established back in the day, since 2007. I've been with the court since 2006, and I'm one of the founding members of the DIFC courts. And there was never a dull moment. We keep exploring new initiatives, new ideas, new projects. And as a court, we have grown massively in the last 18 years. And as I mentioned, we are very much a court that can support business, individuals within Dubai, UAE, and overseas as well. I try to keep my slides as friendly as possible and as interesting as possible. So you will come across many videos today because I believe, as they say, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. Within the courts, we have specialized divisions. And specialized divisions means that they would cater for certain types of disputes with special rules. So we covered here the digital economy courts, and it is one of our new specialized divisions. It has been launched in 2022. And the main reason for actually launching such a specialized division is that the world has really been focusing on digital economy, cryptocurrency, blockchain, 3D sorts of disputes, autonomous vehicles. So the idea is for us as a court, we always look into new opportunities and how we can actually as a court support these growing fields and growing sectors. And that is why we have now the Digital Economy Court with special rules, which caters for disputes within this economy. And the idea with the Digital Economy Court is how we can position ourselves as a court in Dubai, a court that is international, a court that operates within the common law English language, and how we can target certain companies and certain businesses and actually treating Dubai as their safe haven. So you have an amazing infrastructure, you have a country that's quite developed, and you also have supporting systems such as a court system that can cater for such developing industries and sectors like the digital economy. So we have actually seen a few cases that come from the cryptocurrency world, and we expect more and more cases that come even through, let's say, types of transactions that can happen within the blockchain, virtual assets, and so forth. The second pillar that I want to share with you today is the connectivity. We believe we are one of the most connected courts in the world for 3 reasons. First of all, as we are a court system that is part of the UAE, we get the benefit of utilizing all of the treaties that the UAE has entered into in terms of enforcement, in terms of cooperation between countries, and of course, judicial cooperation. The second reason is since we are a common law court, and I explained already what common law means, we have reciprocity between ourselves and any other court system that comes from the common law jurisdiction. So all other common law jurisdictions such as the UK, Singapore, Australia, India, when our judgment, our final judgment that is no longer appealable goes to them, they would automatically enforce the judgment. And of course, in each jurisdiction, they have their own ways and processes of how enforcement will actually take place. This is a map that shows all of the treaties that the UAE has entered into, in addition to some treaties that cover the Arab world. And then the second is the other significance is the common law jurisdictions. And the third reason why I say we are very connected is since 2015, we started reaching out to different jurisdictions around the world to create alliances, good relations, knowledge sharing with those systems and those courts around the world. For example, China. China is one of the top trading partners for the UAE, and we've been targeting these countries or these court systems and these partners because we want to have a really good relation when it comes to certainty and providing the best place to do business. So we've signed with Shanghai High People Court, we've signed with the Hong Kong Supreme Court, and many, many jurisdictions around the world. And again, connectivity is important, and one idea and one angle we're looking at is how we can have the artificial intelligence and blockchain efforts utilized for court efficiency, especially blockchain. When it comes to cross-border enforcement, one vision we have and one dream is that at one point of time in the future, we've started these discussions actually since 2018, but I think we as a court are always a few steps ahead from other courts around the world, and whenever we open a new topic, it's quite difficult for other court systems to embrace them because they're still not at that level in terms of digital transformation. However, I do believe at some point of time, blockchain will be used for cross-border enforcement. So if you can imagine, if you have a judgment, with one press of a button, you can actually go after your judgment debtor wherever they are. As long as there are, let's say, understanding, and through these electronic platforms, through blockchain, there is certain understanding and arrangement between these court-to-court enforcements. And of course, we always keep in mind the public and private sector. It's quite important that we keep them involved. And this is just a small portion of our partnerships, of our alliances that we have with certain bodies within the private and public sector. And the idea, since we are a very small court with huge ambitions, and we believe we're quite important when it comes to providing the security that businesses need, we started having these arrangements of reaching out to free zones, to companies, to actually create awareness of our services and of our court system. As I mentioned, we are an opt-in jurisdiction, so any two parties in any contract, decoration contract, gardening, whatever it is, they can actually choose the DIFC court as a forum to resolve their disputes. And these are just some idea of the types of companies and even academic institutions, how we can actually collaborate and create further impact when it comes to raising awareness and understanding of our court services. As a court, we also focus on service excellence. As I mentioned, since we are an opt-in jurisdiction, we need to be different from other court systems around the world. Or why would anyone choose the DIFC courts? We need to be different. We need to be special. We need to be fast. We need to be efficient. So the idea with our service excellence is how we can actually make sure that the journey of our clients, our users, the lawyers are quite efficient, simple, and 5 stars. And we are one of the only courts, I believe, in the world that has the mystery shopper initiative. So our customer-facing employees are actually rated by mystery shoppers who would come and check, how they deal with our clients. They would actually be, as mystery shoppers, the supposedly clients to the court. So they would come face-to-face. They would interact with us by emails and by calls. So it's quite important to really make sure that service delivery is, on top of our vision and strategy, as it's actually what makes you quite different and unique, and that is what would be the selling point for a court like our court. And there are, of course, many initiatives and multiple, let's say, efforts that we have, including multiple court users committee, working groups, as we believe that through these different platforms, we can understand what our lawyers, what our users, what our clientele actually needs, in addition to even using them as a sounding board when it comes to new initiatives and new projects. And this is our last pillar for today, which is the innovation pillar. Again, I always say innovation is not just based on technology, but you can always be innovative and creative far from technology. But since today we're focusing on technology, I'll try to focus more on innovation from a digital perspective. And we believe, of course, as a court, that technology is a huge enabler when it comes to providing seamless operations and services. And we as a court have been really building on our digital transformation since the early days. Year by year, we've been building really on the digital transformation and infrastructure that we have. When the pandemic hit in 2020, we switched our operations to virtual online within 1 day. So it was quite easy, as I mentioned, since we are an international court, we have a lot of judges and lawyers that operate from different parts of the world. And from day one, we used to use, the video conferencing facility, which was very classical in the early 2000s. And then we moved to Skype for Business. And then lately, Teams, which is our main platform when it comes to video conferencing and meetings and so forth. And actually, as a court, we are fully virtual, fully paperless, and fully online. Only when needed, if parties insist on physical appearances or they would like to utilize our services face-to-face, of course, they're more than welcome to actually come to the DIFC courts. And one of our main initiatives is the Courts of the Future initiative, which was founded in 2017 across the World Economic Forum Future Councils. And our main partner on that initiative is the Dubai Future Foundation. And through that, we try to really have an understanding of what's happening in the world. We don't only focus on technology aspects, but on subject matter of the future as a court. And within certain initiatives, we have multiple working groups, multiple experts that we touch base with when we need to discuss certain topics that are quite new to the courts. We have the subject matter as a judiciary, but when it comes to new topics such as digital economy or, let's say, blockchain-related aspects or any new, subjects, we always go back to our expert through our working groups. And one interesting, development that we've had as well is the Courts of Space. And Courts of Space has been developed in 2021, again, to cater for the rising need of the UAE in terms of how we do business and how we have the certainty and security as far as commercial players in space are concerned. And we're trying to tell the world when it comes to dispute resolution for certain sector, whether digital economy, space, etc., you are not confined with only one choice when it comes to dispute resolution. However, you have multiple options. You have a menu to choose from, whether the IFC courts, whether the English courts, whether it's arbitration, etc. But we are a court. We are not an arbitration center. So this is, again, one of our efforts in providing services that are cutting edge. So tujuri is an actual Arabic word for a vault. And we all, part of our culture, I'm sure like most countries or most cultures have that, we have a tujuri at home. So tujuri is a safe that you would actually put your safe belongings or precious belongings, title deeds, anything that's quite precious or confidential will end up in a tujuri. And we've created the tujuri, which is a digital vault, a vault that you can actually save your legacy within it, and it's open for all. Why I say it's open for all is that we actually have part of our ancillary services, our wills service for non-Muslims. So the will service is available for everyone that invests or lives in the UAE as long as they're non-Muslims, because we offer testamentary freedom, and testamentary freedom is only available for non-Muslims. For our religion, let's say, we have 1/3 of our estate that we can actually have within a form of will. So the idea with Tujuri, it's open for all. It's built on blockchain technology, so on on distributed ledger technology. And the idea with Tujuri is that you can actually use it as a vault, online vault, that you can save any super confidential documents that no one knows about. So some people say, oh, I can use it as my safe drive or my OneDrive or iCloud. But actually, this is just for secure documents, things that no one knows about. And the twist is, since it's zero knowledge proof and since it's based on blockchain, let's say I am one of the subscribers, I would go on to Jury, I would add all of the super confidential documents that no one knows about, and I will actually add a person's name with an email, so that at the time of passing away, the system, as soon as it receives the death certificate, it will actually trigger and basically trickle down all of the documents that were saved on Tujuri to the concerned person that I chose in my lifetime. I can go in and out as much as possible, as much as I want, add, delete, and you can even add multimedia messages, video, audio. It's quite sentimental. You can actually even add things for your grandchildren in the future. You can keep adding and deleting however you want, however you like. And there are, of course, subscriptions with different, basically, gigabyte storage. But the idea is that this is quite unique. I even think sometimes, chefs who have, secret recipes, they can actually use Tujuri and put all what they want on this safe vault online. And as you can see, we're quite creative in our service offering. We are still studying the world of AI, since the focus was a few years ago on AI, or let's say blockchain, then on the metaverse, and now more with AI. And we are trying to really have our initiatives and developments part of such world, and to really be cutting edge when it comes to providing businesses and individuals the security and protection that they need in terms of a court service. And in terms of the AI world, of course, as a court, we are considering AI as a enabler to providing greater efficiency. Can you imagine if, an assistant robot or AI actually is there to provide all of the necessary legal research and, benchmarking through other jurisdictions as a common law court? Our judges need to study other cases from other jurisdictions. We can't just look at our case law in isolation. So the idea is AI is coming. AI is already there with ChatGPT and all of the different large language models available. And we as a court, we're also part of the wave. However, we need to be very careful when it comes to usage of such open platforms, especially when it comes to litigants and persons or anyone who's using that function, as we realize there are a lot of hallucination happening when it comes to such open models online. And we as a court, we're actually providing notes of guidance that will be published soon for our users as a court, how and when to use such technology when it comes to using the court services. So we're not saying don't use such services or such open LLM models. However, be careful when you start using them. And again, I don't believe AI will actually replace humans or robots will replace humans, because we always need, especially when it comes to certain industries, certain professions such as art, judicial activities, medical, etc. I believe AI with humans will work hand in hand. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your time today. Any questions?
In terms of Tujuri and wills, so you talked about it's going to be like automatically transferable by email. So How could Tijuri transfer such information or be aware that this person have a death certificate? And that's my first question. And in terms of the DIFC courts, I want to know what are the most distinctive elements for a lawyer to be considered as one of the top lawyers and then can be actually considered as a lawyer that can be representing a client in the DIFC courts.
Okay, thank you for your questions. I'll tackle the Tujuri question first. So wills are separate from Tujuri service. So if you're, if you would like, you're a testator, we call them testators who come and utilize the will service. They would come to the DIFC courts virtually or face-to-face and register their wills with us. And that's one portion. And that's, of course, totally confidential and encrypted as a digital document. And we actually, one inspiration to have Tijuri is that a lot of people who came to wills, they used to say, where should I save my document? Where should I keep it safely? How would people know that I have a will? Because a lot of people actually, either they come with their spouses, or if they're single, they would come alone, and no one really knows that they have a will with us. So we created Tijuri to be like basically one-stop shop. So you would save your private documents, and the idea about the death certificate, we are actually working to continue the journey with the Ministry of Health in the UAE and the certain health authorities in Dubai and the local health authorities to have an integration. So let's say on a weekly basis, when someone passes away, the system would know that these are basically health, what's it called, death certificates issued, and then our system will know through APIs basically. Integration between us and those providers. That's still happening now. Now we're doing it manually. On, let's say, a weekly basis, we would check, with the certain authorities who, the death certificates, and then we would match, and the system would read, and then the information will be distributed. However, inshallah, in the coming months, it will be automatically done. And of course, it's a journey for future, let's say, other jurisdictions outside the UAE for, Tijuri clients. We would need to have the physical, or let's say not even the physical, a notification of their death certificate so that then the system would issue those documents. So that's about Tijuri. But at some point of time, it will be fully digitalized and fully automated. In terms of lawyers, since we are an international court, we have a register of practitioners that is open to all lawyers from different parts of the world. And we have two types of registrations. We have part one, which is for law firms. So let's say I'm a mega company from, let's say, Tokyo. I have my own lawyers, I have my own law firm. I can ask them to actually register before the DIFC court. So you can have part one registration, which is to basically commence proceedings. To open a case, basically, you need to have a part one registration. And then part two is more for rights of audience as a lawyer, as an individual registration. So then they would register. And of course, there are criteria available. They need to know English, of course. That's the first one. And, without saying, they need to have a registration or a practicing certificate from the jurisdiction that they're coming from. Again, it doesn't need to be their own country. Let's say, they're Kuwaiti and they have a registration with New York bar or Australian bar. That's more than, welcome. And there are certain criteria and, of course, an interview that will be held. But we are a court that is open to all. All lawyers from different parts of the world. Historically, in the UAE, only Emiratis would practice before the courts here in the country, and we were, one of the few courts that allows international lawyers. And I believe now the UAE, as a court system, we're also open. Like now, they have new regulations that would allow non-Emirati lawyers to practice before those courts. But these are very restrictive courts, and they, of course, need to be operating in different languages.
Hello. I'm a new resident of UAE, 6 months here, and I was told, I went to an event held by an attorney that in UAE, besides having your own attorney, you have to have an Emirati attorney, mandatorily required, who speaks Emirati. Is that so in DIFC too? To have two attorneys, like one your own and then one
Yeah, so thank
Clarify,
you for your
please.
question. As I just touched upon, historically, not within the DIFC court, historically, if you are, want to hire your own lawyer who is non-Arab, non-Emirati, especially not Arab, Emirati, you will need to have both. Unless you go directly to an Emirati law firm, then it's easy because we have a lot of Emirati law firms that operate in English as well. But as far as we are concerned, as a court, you have your one lawyer who you can actually have or hire to represent you on your cases. And of course, what I'm talking about as a court is only when it comes to cases. We don't get involved in any other transaction. So as and when, and hopefully no one has a case, as and when needed, if you need to come to the court, then you can hire your own lawyer as long as they're registered with us. If they're not, then they can go through registration. Any other questions?
First of all, thank you for the presentation. It's great. And as far we have some experience in back home in courts from expertise support to the judges. So just my question is, how far here in Dubai the court request expertise and what type of the expertise is really required currently? As part for sure labor and those high demands plus the others. So AI I think is required, but what's the most common now expertise required during these changes now?
Yes. Thank you for a question. I'm smiling because this is like a hot topic. A lot of lawyers or users ask about experts. For us as a court, we're quite different when it comes to other courts in the region or in the GCC. We do not heavily depend on experts. Such as other courts, they would have, I think, a roster, and then for certain cases that the judge would like to appoint an expert, it will go through the list. You can have accountants, engineers, etc. But for us as a court, we rarely use experts, and I will explain a bit what I meant initially with experts as a sounding board when it comes to certain developments within the course. That's a bit different, not in cases. I was referring to experts in that angle when it comes to different initial, like digital economy court, we have a working group. So we have experts from the digital economy court or world who support us when it comes to things that we're not really familiar with, such as crypto-related transactions, and they offer lecture series to our judges and staff. Similarly, we have a working group for courts of the future. We have a working group for our courts of space. And normally, we call it think tank and can-do tank rather than just brainstorming. And these different working groups we depend on when it comes to, basically understanding what are the opportunities in the market in their own, areas and sectors, and how we can, as a court, support them. But in terms of expert use, strictly speaking, we don't have a list of experts. Normally, how our court procedures are designed, as and when if parties require an expert, they would actually have a joint expert appointed through them, rather than us going through appointment. And in certain situations, which is quite rare, if they do not agree on a joint expert, each party will have their own expert. And if they have multiple, then the court would ask them that each party will issue their own report, and the experts need to be actually communicating to each other. And the idea is more as the onus is on the parties rather than the court. And as you know, sometimes it's quite challenging for courts to actually maintain the best experts in the world, and the parties are much interested in having best experts that can actually understand the subject matter of their dispute. I hope I answered your question. Anything else? We're done? Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in.